So Sarah's first reminder. All right, thank you very much, David. And I would like to call upon Nina to continue the case for the proposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we heard today is a case which has no practical harms, which shows no causality between negotiating with terrorists and actually having more terrorist attacks happen, as you did describe in your introduction, but then didn't go on to prove why that will actually happen. And all we really have in the end of the day is that it's not dignified to sit down to the table with terrorists because we don't agree with them. Well, we have a couple of things to say to this. First of all, the fact that people have different values does not mean you cannot sit down and negotiate with them. The fact that different religions agree on different things does not mean that different religions can't talk between them. The fact that Korea and America are, one is democratic and one is not, does that mean that they can't ever negotiate about things? They can't ever work things out between themselves? Then we do not hear why necessarily the fact that you have different values, the fact that you have different beliefs will mean that you won't reach an agreement, or why it is not legitimate or not justified for you to sit down and actually talk to this person if you're saving human lives. On the other hand, we here have our points which haven't been sufficiently refuted, which haven't been sufficiently dealt with, and so we think that there's many points left standing on this side of the table, and we'd really like you to do a better job at refuting in your next speaker. So really, I'd like to say that negotiations are not a court case. You don't always have to agree with everything. You simply have to sit down at the table and try to work things out and try to talk. No, thank you. So why did negotiations cause terror? We didn't really hear. And we really don't think that the fact that you should only negotiate with someone you agree with even makes any sense. Because in the end of the day, you're negotiating with your enemies, not with your friends. And that's what a negotiation means. If I agreed with them on everything, there'd be no need for a negotiation. And every negotiation in the world, no thank you, takes place between two different parties which agree on different things. That's why they have to negotiate.
But ma'am.
No thank you. And last, we'd like to ask you, if you really think that you shouldn't negotiate on anything, would you stop all negotiation on Gilad Shalit since he was kidnapped by a terrorist organization? No thank you. Would you not really negotiate on anything, and why do you think that would be better for our state? Why do you think that would save more lives, since that is really our goal as a government?
Wait.
No thank you. So today, I would like to be telling you why by negotiation, many times you weaken the terrorist organizations. And I'll have two different subpoints in this. First of all, the root of terrorism and how terrorism actually happens. And second of all, where does the negotiation happen? So how does terror happen? Well, you have a couple of people who have some kind of ideology. And then you have a lot of people who follow them. A lot of people, because that is the only way in which you can have a strong terror organization. Now, why do these people follow them? Is it because they've sat at home, like philosophers had actually thought of that and come to the decision that they should be attacking people? No. It's because they're desperate. It's because they have nothing to lose. When a person becomes a suicide bomber, when he's willing to give up his life in order to kill someone, it's usually because he has nothing to lose. Okay, this happens in places that are stricken with poverty, in places in which people are depressed, in places in which people feel like they have no other alternative, and so they must go and they must join these terror organizations. This is how these terror organizations get strong, and this is how they gain support, when people have nothing to lose. So while fighting is sometimes important, sometimes it simply increases terror, and in certain cases, we believe that negotiation is what really weakens the terror. If we look, for example, at what happened in Germany. After World War I, we had the Versailles Treaties, which put Germany in an embarrassing place. They limited Germany. They put the German people to shame. And what did that cause? What did that cause in the end of the day? That caused, well, we all know what it caused. It caused Nazism. But if we look at what happened, how we dealt with the situation after World War II, if we look at the Marshall Plan, which initially, no thank you, what it did was actually help Germany build itself up, give them money, support Germany, help them stand on their feet. People didn't need to fight anymore because they had what to lose, because they had jobs, because they felt like their life was worth living, so they didn't have to go and throw it all away. So we really believe that in certain cases, negotiation can weaken terrorism. How? Well, first of all, the mere fact that you negotiate with someone, the mere fact that you come to the table, the mere fact that the people that are following this hear that you're willing to take a step forward and actually talk to them, shows in some way you want to listen to what they have to say. You care about what they have to say. No, thank you. That gives people hope, and that makes people think that they don't have to fight, because maybe they can get to this in other ways. Maybe they have what to lose. And second of all, if the negotiations succeed, so you can really strike a deal, then you're giving them something to lose, and you're weakening these terrorist groups because people don't have to turn to terrorism. Sorry. So what have we told you today? First of all, we've told you that team opposition here haven't really shown us any harm. They haven't told us why negotiating doesn't solve the problem or causes more terrorism. And at the end of the day, all we have standing is the fact that team opposition are too snobby to sit down and talk with people who don't agree with them. Furthermore, we've told you that by negotiating with terrorism, along with fighting with them, by using negotiation as a tool in certain cases, you can actually weaken the terrorism. You can actually give them something to lose, and so they won't feel like they have to fight, like they have to throw their lives away, like they have to die and go kill themselves. So in the end of the day, will we negotiate or will we not? Will we save the lives of our people? Will we turn these people from terrorists into political figures? Will we actually bring change into this world? Or will we be too snooty to sit down at the table and talk to people who we disagree with? I'd like you to answer that question.
Thank you very much, Nina, and I would now like to call upon Ellie to continue the case for the opposition and answer all of Nina's questions. Carefully worded questions.
Great. Now let's give to the Hamas, let's take from the Hamas Gilad Shalit and give them 1,000 prisoners. This won't increase no terror, because Hamas will say, oh yeah, this is a good thing, it gives peace to the world. This is a great thing. No, they will say, great, amazing way to get back our prisoners. Let's take more soldiers and we'll get more prisoners, because anyway, Israel is coming to the table and starting to have negotiations. So, today I'm going to talk about why if we negotiate with terror, it will make terror worse. But first, I want to refute on what the proposition said. Proposition was trying to say, oh, team opposition, you all don't want to come to talk with somebody. You're all like not nice people. You're not coming and talking to people because they're different than you. Negotiation. Negotiations start from a basic place that we both agree, and we have the basic rules. From there could be changes. We could have different changes for what are we going to get from this negotiation? But when we come and we have negotiate with a terror group, there is no way, and we have the same basis rules. We do not have the same basis rules because terror people are people that we do not agree as legitimate people. People that believe that killing, that murdering civilians for their ideology is not something it's legitimate, and we can't have, because they are not legitimate, we cannot sit in the same table. We both don't have the basis rules which we could have from our differences. No, thank you. Also, team opposition were giving us examples of terror as Germany as states. States are not terrorists. Organizations are exactly not. They're not states. They are people, as team opposition said, and have this ideology, and people are coming after them. They are not a state, as the examples that team proposition were trying to give. That's why we can't. If it was as our first speaker said, we could come because as a state against a state, as from the Geneva Convention rules, and we come and we are allowed to talk. This is not talking about state against state. It's talking about
Sir.
terror group against the state. A people which have ideology, it's not legitimate and believe that killing is the right thing and murdering and hurting civilians that did not do anything is not a legitimate place to come and sit together. No, yes.
Nazi Germany was a state and yet still had terrorism. We think that groups that combat citizens are terrorists. It doesn't matter if they're a state or not.
We believe that that when we're the Nazi Germany came as a state which was leaded from a terror group. We're not, but this is not the situation today. So the situation today is states are states and there's terrorist groups that are terrorist groups. They are not.
Thanks, sir.
No, thank you. They're not people which they're not terror. And also, if they are a state, they're not the states which go by the Geneva rules, because the Geneva Convention rules say that these cannot go by the terrorist rules. Now, because I do not have any more time, I'm going to move fast to my point. Why if we do these, if we come and we sit at the table together, it will make terror worse. When terror groups see, oh, we can do whatever we want, and anyway, the other side will come and sit at the table, so we'll try to get the solution, we succeed. Whatever our goal is to come and do something which is bad, as why do we kidnap a soldier to get to a situation which we come to the table and get 1,000 of our prisoners back? So if the state says that we agree to come to this table, we're actually making them more motivation. We're saying, yeah, continue terror groups, you're getting to your goals. Your goal, which means we want to get to the table and the deal will happen, it's actually making these terror groups continue. It's actually making more terror groups believe, oh great, we can do whatever we want, and anyway, somebody will come at the end of the day and come and sit at the table and we'll release to whatever we want. No, thank you. I do not understand how coming and sitting with terrorists in the table and trying to get to a deal will make the terror be less, because this actually won't make them less. It will make them more want to get to it, because their goal is not to get to peace. These terror groups, as Team Providence said, these terror groups are ideology of people which believe in something which we in society don't think is legitimate. And when we come to the table and we sit together with them, we make them A, believe that this is legitimate, and B, we're making them continue to think, because they're saying, oh great, this is working, let's continue. Let's continue killing people. Let's continue bombing buses 2 streets from here. Why not? This is great. Anyway, whatever we won't do, nobody will say, no, we're not going to have a deal. Yes, they're going to come and sit with us at the table. So what did I tell you today? I told you today that to come to the table together, we need to come from same basis rules, and from them we have the differences, and we're going to try to get to the middle by having a masamatan. But if we don't come, if we say terror groups are people which, as Team Providence agree with us, are people which are not legitimate because they have ideas which are not legitimate, are going to continue. We don't come to them and sit with them at the table. And if we do, it will make them be a lot worse, because they will see, oh great, whatever we're doing is amazing.